The Soldier Who Came Home. Too late. Chapter 8. A New Purpose. After leaving the village, Daniel never looked back. The pain in his heart remained, but he refused to let it destroy the rest of his life. He settled in a small town where no one knew his past. There he found work helping families rebuild homes that had been destroyed during the war. Every day he repaired broken walls, planted new trees, and helped children who had lost their parents. The nightmares never completely disappeared. Some nights he still woke up hearing explosions that existed only in his memories. But each morning, he chose to keep moving forward. Years passed. People in the town came to respect Daniel, not only as a war veteran, but as a kind and humble man who was always ready to help others. One afternoon, a young boy asked him, "Why do you always help everyone?" Daniel smiled softly. "Because I know what it feels like to lose everything." The boy nodded, not fully understanding. Daniel looked toward the horizon. He had lost the woman he loved. He had lost the future he once dreamed of, but he had not lost his humanity. And sometimes, that is the greatest victory a soldier can achieve. The Soldier Who Came Home. Too late. Chapter 7. One Last Goodbye. The next morning, Daniel made a difficult decision. He did not want to destroy Emma's new life. He only wanted to see her one last time. From a distance, he watched as she walked through the village with her young son. She looked older than he remembered, but her gentle smile was still the same. For a moment, Emma stopped walking. She felt that someone was watching her. When she turned around, her eyes met Daniel's. Time seemed to stand still. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved. Tears slowly filled Emma's eyes as she realized the impossible had happened. Daniel was alive. She took one step forward, but then looked at the little boy holding her hand. Daniel understood everything. He smiled sadly and gave her a small nod as if to say, "It's okay. You don't have to choose." Emma covered her mouth to hide her tears. Daniel reached into his pocket and placed the silver ring beneath the old oak tree, where they had once promised to spend their lives together. Without saying another word, he turned around and walked away. Emma watched until he disappeared beyond the end of the road. Some love stories end with a wedding. Others end with a silent goodbye that lasts forever. The Soldier Who Came Home Too Late. Chapter 2. A Heart Forced Letters from the Front. Another battlefield was nothing like Daniel. The village had almost forgotten Daniel. Every morning began with the sound of explosions. Officially listed him as every night ended with the cries of everyone else. Soldiers. That meant only one thing. Smoke covered the sky. He would never return. Fear lived in every heartbeat. Emma still refused to remove the silver necklace Daniel had given her. Emma. Whenever there was a quiet moment, he would sit inside a muddy trench and write another letter. But her parents could no longer bear to watch her suffer. "I don't know when this war will end, her mother said, but I promise I'm still fighting. There is a good man who wishes to marry you. Every star I see reminds me of the nights we spent together. Please don't stop believing in me." She didn't want another life. Weeks passed before another letter could be sent. She wanted the one she had dreamed of. One cold afternoon, finally with a broken heart and believing Daniel was gone forever, she still wore the silver necklace every day. She told him the village missed him another man, and that she prayed on the morning of the wedding every single night. She quietly held Daniel's smiled for the first time in months. A single tear. He folded the letter carefully and kept it close to his heart. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "but the war was becoming as long as I could." Supply lines were destroyed. Mail deliveries became rare. Daniel survived another fierce battle. Daniel's letters. He had no idea that the woman he loved was becoming someone else's wife. Sometimes neither of them knew war doesn't only take lives. It also steals the future between them grew longer with every passing month. Far away, destiny was quietly preparing a heartbreaking ending that neither of them could imagine. The Soldier Who Came Home Too Late. Chapter 2. Letters from the Front. The battlefield was nothing like Daniel had imagined. Every morning began with the sound of explosions. Every night ended with the cries of wounded soldiers. Smoke covered the sky, and fear lived in every heartbeat. Yet one thing kept Daniel alive: Emma. Whenever there was a quiet moment, he would sit inside a muddy trench and write another letter. "My dearest Emma, I don't know when this war will end, but I promise I'm still fighting to come home. Every star I see reminds me of the nights we spent together. Please don't stop believing in me." Weeks passed before another letter could be sent. One cold afternoon, Daniel finally received a reply. Emma wrote that she still wore the silver necklace every day. She told him the village missed him and that she prayed for his safety every single night. Daniel smiled for the first time in months. He folded the letter carefully and kept it close to his heart. But the war was becoming more dangerous. Supply lines were destroyed. Mail deliveries became rare. Soon, Daniel's letters stopped reaching home, and Emma's letters never reached the battlefield. Neither of them knew the other was still alive. The silence between them grew longer with every passing month. Far away, destiny was quietly preparing a heartbreaking ending that neither of them could imagine. Soldier who came home. Too late. Chapter 3, The Silence Between Them. Months turned into years. The war showed no mercy. Daniel fought through endless battles, surviving freezing winters, hunger, and the constant fear of death. Every day he carried Emma's last letter in his pocket, reading it whenever he had a moment alone. But no new letters ever arrived. He began to wonder if something had happened to her. Back in the village, Emma waited faithfully. Every morning she walked to the mailbox, hoping to find a letter with Daniel's name on it. Every evening she looked down the empty road, dreaming that he might suddenly appear. The villagers slowly lost hope. Many soldiers had never returned. Rumors spread that Daniel had been killed in battle. Emma refused to believe them. He promised he would come home, she would say. But as the years passed, even hope became difficult to hold on to. Her parents feared she would spend her whole life waiting for someone who might never return. They begged her to move on. Emma stood at the old oak tree where she and Daniel had made their promise. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "If you're still alive, please come home." At that very moment, hundreds of miles away, Daniel looked at the same full moon shining over the battlefield. He whispered, "The soldier who came home too late." Chapter 2. Letters from the front. The battlefield was nothing like Daniel had imagined. Every morning began with the sound of explosions.